Thanks, Sarah. Time now for Top Talkers. Our panel today includes Michael LeBurn from CTV News, Melanie Adams from 93.9 Bob FM, and John Brenner from 580 CFRA. Good morning, folks. We're talking about an announcement that's going to come down shortly from the from the federal government regarding sick days for government workers. On average, they take 18.2 sick days a year. Much more, 2.5 times more than the average of in the private sector. What are we expecting, you think, Michael? Or is this needed? Do we need to see these kind of reforms?
I think a lot of people believe that it's about time. We all know people who work in the federal public service who are great workers, but we all know people who, once they've accumulated the right amount of time to get their couple of days a month, suddenly they take it. 18 days of sick leave is an awful lot. I'm sure some people need it, but not most people.
But not as many as are taking it now.
But what I don't understand is, all right, so say they have sick days and they don't take them. They still get those days. So they're not sick days. Those aren't sick days to me. Like here where we work, if I'm sick, I take a day off.
Right.
If I'm not sick, I don't get to take that day off another time.
Right, or you don't get paid for it.
If it gets banked, then it's not a sick day. It's a vacation day.
It's a vacation day.
Yeah, so basically the government is grinding its workers for contracts that it made with its workers.
Yes.
You see.
Essentially.
So I don't get that part. And the other part that I don't get is I just find it hard to chuck a rock at federal public service workers because I'm not in their shoes. You know, I don't know what the job is like. Maybe you do get sick more often depending on where you work. And remember, you're looking at what, 19,000 people out of 300,000 is what they're talking about. So. You know, who knows what these jobs entail?
The outdated part seems to be that you can accumulate it. And there was a time back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, maybe even into the 80s, where that was very, very commonplace in the workplace. That just doesn't exist anymore. You know, you can accumulate 6 months sick leave, and then just before you retire, you take the last 6 months off.
Yes, I was going to say, it's not even just at the end of the year you're taking your however many sick days. It's at retirement time, and that's significant. That's quite significant.
But if you're the employer, which is the government, stop negotiating these contracts with them if you don't like it.
Right.
Okay, and don't blame the workers for working to the letter of their contract.
That's right. I mean, if this is what they're allowed to do, would you not do it if you were allowed to do it? Would you not take those extra days, call them whatever you will, if you were allowed to take them?
You would at the end. I don't think the majority of them abuse their sick leave. I think there's a small group out there that I'm sure do abuse their sick leave. But John has a good point. And maybe this is the beginning of that change.
Okay, I want to move on to another one, but it ties in well with this. According to a new report that was out, that the least productive time of the day for workers, let's say who work a typical 9 to 5, is 2:55, right before the 3 o'clock hour hits. Now, the way it translates for many of us who work in morning television, who work about a 4 a.m. to noon shift, that would be 9:55. So 9:55, you see all of us kind of just starting to
You're going to be tired pretty soon.
a little bit. We just don't want to work anymore. You know, the rush and the excitement of the morning is over. Is that shocking to you, 3 o'clock in the afternoon? You think everybody takes a bit of a downturn?
I don't think it's a shock because typically in the workplace for many, many, many generations, the break time has been 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
So they must have known that years and years ago, but now they're just sort of formalizing it.
That's my most amped up part of the day, right before 3, because I'm getting excited because Dr. Oz is coming on. I'm getting ready to go, but I mean, I don't have a typical job, so I can't.
John, do you think it's better? There's a couple different suggestions in this article that we should be taking. One suggestion is we should be pacing ourselves throughout the day. So taking small 5-minute breaks here and there, pacing ourselves. So we're not on such highs and lows. And then there's the other school of thought that maybe we should be working intensely for 90 minutes and then taking a good 30-minute break where we're having something to eat and maybe getting in a little exercise. What do you think would work better for you?
For me, not getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Agreed, I'm with you on that one.
To do that.
Although it is nice in the summertime. No, I do think that, and certainly, you know, work life has changed, you know, over the generations. And, you know, we're expected to do a lot in a shorter period of time, which means, I mean, they want more productivity out of you, which means you've got to figure out how to do more things in a certain amount of time. But I think, too, you have to take a look at what, you know, for most people who go to bed, you know, say at 10, 11 o'clock at night, and then get up at 6:30 in the morning, It's the whole rhythm of, your body. And at a certain point, your body says, you know what? Time to slow down just a little bit to kind of refocus. And I guess 2:55 just happens to be that period of time if you're the typical person.
That's when you take all those sick days you've built up.
There you go.
Exactly.
See if you can maybe take your sick day at 3 o'clock and just walk out. Well, yeah, like I say, 9:55, it's 9:15 right now. I'm going to crash real soon because at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm starting to slow down and start to slow down.
See, I have a solution though. I think every place of work, from sea to shining sea, should have a pod that's full of lazy boy chairs.
Oh,
okay.
Where we can nap.
You can just go in there, stretch out, for 20 minutes, and.
I'd be down with that. We have a chair here right now, but I don't know if they might frown upon it if I start taking naps. So we won't do that. All right, we brought Michael, Mel, and John. Thanks so much for joining us on Top Talkers today.